Bad pay, bad lifestyle, and people not liking their work have been fueling the Great Resignation because people wanted something else in their lives and they've been able to quit their jobs because they were able to secure income somewhere else, whether it's through another job or their own side hustle. But now, because the economy is changing, it's making the Great Resignation a little bit more complex. Things across the country have been getting a lot more expensive because of inflation, and so people need more money, except people are running out of money. And so now we're entering a time where people need a more secure income. They need money coming in more than they did before because everything is so much more expensive. So what do you do? Well, one hand, which is the thing that I don't support, is people have been going into debt to continue supporting the lifestyle, which is why we've been seeing a record growth in credit card debt. But the alternative is you can try to create more income by doing a side hustle or by trying to create your own business. But our economy right now has been making this a lot more challenging because one of the easiest ways for people to start creating another side income was by being a driver for something like Uber or Lyft or DoorDash. But now a lot of these side hustler workers are starting their own Great Resignation within this side hustle community because gas has become so expensive in this economy. So you have people quitting Uber, they're quitting Lyft, they're quitting DoorDash because it's becoming so expensive and they need a new stream of income. This is where we're seeing a massive shift in the Great Resignation right now because first it was just people quitting their jobs, but now people are quitting their side hustles because the income isn't enough to support this higher cost of living and the higher cost of everything. So people are now choosing their side hustles, they're choosing their income based off of what's happening in the economy. So now we've seen a lot of people take part in this Great Resignation, from developers to CEOs to side hustlers, but the issue now is the rising cost of living and the change in the economy, which is changing how people work. And this is why you have a lot of people predicting that this Great Resignation is going to be slowing down significantly in 2022, because if you have your own side hustle or you have your own business and it's not growing fast enough to support your income, especially when incomes are growing as fast as they are right now, well, then you might be forced to go back and get a job because you just can't support your lifestyle because everything is getting more expensive. The unfortunate reality is everybody has a breaking point. People want better lifestyles, people want better pays, people want to be happy with what they do. But if you can't find that, or if you don't have the money to support the current lifestyle that you have because whatever it is that you're doing, your new job, your new side hustle isn't supporting it with the rising cost of living, then you might be forced to make some sacrifices to go back to a job maybe that isn't giving you the lifestyle that you want, or that isn't making you as happy as you would like because now you need the money in order to support the rising cost of living. We're seeing inflation levels that we haven't seen in decades in this country, and we don't see any sign of slowdown because month after month inflation just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And what's scary is, on one hand, we have this consumer inflation, CPI, which said that inflation was around 8.5% over the last 12 months. But at the same time, we also have the producer inflation, PPI, which said that inflation was almost 12% over the last 12 months. PPI, this producer inflation, is the inflation that companies pay on their products when they source their raw materials. So when you go to the store and you buy something, that's the inflation that you pay as the consumer. But the store owner and the manufacturer of products have their own inflation numbers. That's the producer inflation numbers, the PPI numbers. And so the producers have been seeing an inflation of around 12%, while consumers have been paying an inflation of 8.5%. What does that mean? Well, that means a lot of companies have been eating up the higher inflation costs. I know a lot of people assume that we have all this corporate greed with companies just jacking up their prices. But the reason why a lot of companies have been forced to jack up their prices is because the prices that they have to pay have been going up as well. So the producers have been seeing the price of their raw materials, their price of producing products, go up by nearly 12%, while consumers are only paying only 8.5%. What does that mean? Well, that cost is being eaten up by somebody, and it's actually the companies, the producers, that are bearing the burden of this, which means we might see inflation continue to go on for a while because companies aren't just going to keep eating this cost up forever. They're going to eventually pass it down. So you had the perfect storm of people quitting their jobs to find a new job, to find a new lifestyle, to find something that makes them happy. But now, because of the rising cost of living and the changing economic conditions, it's making the Great Resignation a little bit more difficult because people need more steady income in order to support themselves in this lifestyle. And then on top of all of that, we have these growing risks of a potential recession hitting the United States sometime in maybe 2023, which means that people are going to be more worried about their income because if you have a job, you would assume that's a little bit steadier income because you have a company that's going to be paying you. Now, we all understand that there's risks of working a job. There's also risks of creating your own income. The risk of working a job is if your company goes bankrupt, well, there goes your job. But the risk if you have your own side hustle is if you do not have the capacity or the ability to run your company, especially through a downturn, then you're also going to run out of your income. Look, I think it's great that people have been quitting their jobs to do something that they like, that they enjoy, that fulfills their lifestyle. That way they can live a more fulfilling life. But the reality is now, if we enter a recession and if we continue to see high inflation, people are going to need more money. And when you enter a recession, people are forced to make more sacrifices. Now, typically, these sacrifices mean that you have to cut down on your spending. You have to save more money. You can't invest as much money. You have to make financial sacrifices. But now, with a lot of people who have been quitting their jobs or getting pay cuts or working towards side hustles because it fulfills their lifestyle a little bit better, it's going to be interesting to see how this works, because if we see a recession while the cost of living keeps going up, people are going to need more money and they might need more steady incomes, which could push people back to jobs that they may or may not like. If you enjoyed this shorter clip from my longer videos, here's another clip that I think you'll love. And while you're at it, if you're interested in learning more about how to invest your money in real estate, our team put together an amazing guide on real estate investing. This guide goes over what real estate investing is, how to start using real estate to generate cash flow, and how to build wealth with real estate. This guide is completely free when you sign up for our daily newsletter. So if you want to read our guide on how to start investing your money in real estate, you can download that guide just by clicking that button right over there. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep hustling.